permanent chairperson for the 2012 annual meeting. Mandy. Chris. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Can I have a motion to appoint the following individuals as election inspectors for the 2011-2012 school year? Margie Taylor, Chief Inspector; Richard Callan, Ruth Callan, Margie Davis, Jerry French, Alice Hand, Don Mulaney, Doris Smith, Vivian Warren, alternates Jane Bullock and Rick Cutway. Mr. Joe?
I'll second.
And Lynn? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion is carried. Kay Amo, the district clerk, will read the notice. Okay. Okay, Ms. Kelly and Carol Lasala will be presenting our proposed budget for the 2012-2013 school year. Okay, I'll announce the board candidates. The board candidates for Rick Brewer's seat is Matthew Van Rockland and Rick Brewer. And for Melissa Hale's seat, Mary Jo Rolfus, Robin Trezetter, and Reggie LaPointe. There will be a chance for everybody to ask questions. I believe the budget is broken down into 3 sections, and at the end of each section, you can ask questions pertaining to that section.
I have to take this off for a second to turn the lights off, or I'll deafen you all. Obviously, Carol and I aren't used to wearing microphones, so if we move around too much, we'll all know it. I wanted to welcome everybody to the budget hearing for this evening for 2012-13 school year. As Terry already mentioned, the budget is divided into 3 sections. What we will be doing is Carol and I are taking turns sharing the sections. At the end of each section, the administrative, program, and capital will ask for questions at the end of each section. Can everybody hear? Okay. Yeah, Carol. The first page that is up here basically explains a few quick details of the budget. It starts off with the proposed budget for 2012-13, the total amount being $12,391,242. The budget from last year, which we know was a contingent budget, was in the amount of $892,472. That's an overall increase from last year to this year of 4.2%. We also wanted to point out that there is a 0% tax increase to the taxpayers of both areas, and that within the whole budget, right from the beginning, this is a contract year, so what we did with salaries was put a 2.5 projected across the board. That does not mean that people are getting 2.5. We had to work from some figure on the budget, so that's what we put in. The first section is the administrative section in the budget. What that includes is anything that involves running and managing the school. It's broken down into the different sections. The Board of Education's expenses are there, the superintendent and secretary's salary, the business office, the tax collector, legal fees, different insurances, BOCES administrative costs come under that, the copiers and the mail. There's also the corresponding benefits that go with those people's salaries that are in that section. The first section under administrative, is Carol, sorry. I'm so excited. Can everyone hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
As you can see, these are the different areas in the administrative portion. Board of Education is the Board of Education expenses. The reason for the decrease this year, they went through a policy update, and that's a BOCES service, and this year they've updated it, so next year we don't have to pay for that expense. So that's the major reason for the decrease. Central administration, that's the superintendent's office, and there's a small increase there, and that's an estimated increase in salaries. And again, that's just projected, that's nothing that's been agreed upon. Finance is more or less the business office. This year, you went from having a full-time business manager for the first part of the year, and then you went into the cooperative business office, which is a shared expense. So you're reaping some benefits because there's a small increase there, but overall, you have some savings. Legal staff, there's a small increase there, and that is the BOCES service, the annual visual inspection. We have added to the BOCES service, and so that's what that increase is. Central services, under the finance, we also added under the business office, the finance software, the WinCap service. WinCap software is now going to be included under the business office, where last year it was under the central services. Because I'm shared, I'm in multiple districts, and because now we're going to put it under the business office, I will be able to see the information at any district that I'm at. So it'll be easier for me to help serve the district, because if Sue calls up with a question, I can pull up your data wherever I am, which is how I serve the other districts that I work with. So we're putting that under the finance section instead of central services. So that's one of the reasons you see a decrease in the central services, because that cost is no longer there. We also converted from EMAP, which we continue to pay this year because we were converting over, and WinCap was included in that line, which now is included in the finance section. Special items, there's a decrease under that section. One of the reasons is the administrative fees for health insurance, workers' comp. I now include under the benefit section. That's something I do at all my districts, so it's something that I've just reclassified, and it's still included in your budget, but it's included in the benefit section instead of special items. Instructional administrative, there's a decrease there. Because you've had your principal leave, we're estimating a lower salary for a new principal, so that's what the decrease in that area is. In-service education, you're seeing a big increase from $850 to $6,000. Because of the new APPR regulations, there's a lot more professional development required for this teachers, and so we've added money there for that purpose. And again, the administrative benefits, part of that is because I've reclassified from special items down to benefits, the administrative portion, plus we've had an increase in health insurance retirement benefits. And again, you have a new set of eyes looking at the books, so I have kind of reclassified things compared to the way Rocky did. Not that it was right, wrong, or indifferent, it's just you have a different set of eyes. So sometimes things are included in different places in next year's budget compared to this year's budget. So overall, you have a decrease in the administrative portion of this year's budget, next year's budget. Okay. The next, I think, 3 slides are information about the health insurance. This is 10-11 information. That was based on the negotiations, I think that happened in 2009 when the school district went from Plan A to the riders. What this shows is the number of different plans. We have individual, 2-person family, shared person, and shared family. And these are the number of the total district. This isn't just the teachers. This isn't just the support staff or the administration. This is the total for the whole district. This is what the annual premium would be, was in 10-11 for riders 5 and 6. And this is the annual premium for Plan A. So this is what we paid, $1,807,000 for 10-11. This is what we would have paid had we stayed on Plan A. There's a $332,000 difference. That's what the district saved. That's 10-11. 11-12, this is based on the numbers off the May 2012 bill. They change during the year in case somebody gets married, if they have a baby. unfortunately, if somebody dies or something like that. So there are changes. So I took the numbers off the May 2012 bill. Again, these are the annual premiums, riders 5 and 6, and Plan A. You can see family with 21,000 compared to 17,808. So in every family plan, we do save quite a bit. Again, 1.8 million compared to 2.1 million, $337,000 difference. Okay. And this is the projected. Again, I took our current numbers, and again, that could change throughout the year. This is the premium for riders 5 and 6. This is the premium for Plan A, 1.9 million, because next year they're projecting a 9% increase from what we're currently paying on riders 5 and 6, compared to $366,000 difference. So even though our health insurance costs keep going up, we still are saving money, that we have changed to riders 5 and 6, because this is the premium you would have been paying had you stayed on Plan A. So it was a good move for the district to go to riders 5 and 6. Any questions?
On the administrative budget, I probably should know this myself. I mean, on the administrative budget, can you point out, are any of those BOCES programs reimbursable? You get money back on it?
You get 8 on them, yes.
You get 8 on just about all of them, right? So the money will come back into the school next year.
Yes.
I just kind of wanted to point that out because it's a good reason to do business with BOCES.
Sure is. Anybody else?
Component 2 is the program section, which has any and everything to do with the performing duties to and for students. Under this category comes the corresponding benefits, as we said before, as far as health and those issues. It deals with every situation, for teachers, for computers, electronics, special education, athletics, extracurricular, transportation, training for staff, and recreation. Now I'll go through each one individually. Teaching regular school, that includes all of our teachers, elementary and high school, the SAT courses that we offer for students. Substitutes get paid under this category, dean of students, lifeguards, any equipment, materials and supplies, as I said before, staff training, and our DL, or distance learning courses and textbooks all fall under the teaching regular. Unfortunately, I had to cut this slide off a little to get this here, but this is the 11-12 column, this is the 12-13, and we do have a $2,700,359 under teaching regular school. The second category, special education, deals with our CSE students, our CSE chairperson, the secretary, their copiers, their supplies and materials, and any students who go to BOCES programs. So a total of $1,221,870. And yes, there is some reimbursement for that, Andy. Under occupational education, under that comes our ag and business teacher, summer ag, our BOCES Tech Center. All of our students are based on a 3-year average for that, as well as materials and supplies. Occupational ed, $533,088. Special schools, that category includes the band, driver's ed, summer programs, summer recreation, when we have that back in this year, and any materials and supplies. It is, for this year, $41,126. And those are some of the areas where we did add things back into the budget for a proposal for this year. Under instructional media, that has anything that has to do with the library. Librarian, the library assistant, the books and materials that we have there are contracts with BOCES for the Learning Center, all of our subscriptions, equipment repair, and that comes to $105,041. Under computer instruction, that is all of the district's hardware, software, all of our network systems, our on-site coordinators. We do currently have people here through NERIC in a full-time position. 2 people share it, and we are proposing to go to BOCES next year to hire their IT people, and then any other materials and supplies. There is, under that, obviously a decrease. We're hoping that that approximate money of change or decrease will continue to be lowered. I really feel like by going to BOCES, we got a better deal in the end. So it'll be $204,593. We will still have an IT person on staff 5 days a week. Oops, computer, sorry. I got stuck. Thanks. Pupil services. Pupil services are our attendance system for the school, our guidance counselors. We have one that is pre-K 6, one that is 7-12. The programs that they use within the guidance, the summer hours for guidance, as well as the secretary and any field trips that they take. Pupil services is $170,247. Health services is everything that deals with our nurse's office, the nurse equipment, the school, doctor, the physicals that are done, her office and supplies. Also comes under that health services is the school psychologist and their summer hours as well. Under co-curricular, that is all the amounts that deal with salaries for coaches, for advisors. It also deals with uniforms for students, band, the band equipment, close-up trip, the 8th grade trip. There are some monies put in there by the district. Anything used for sports, refs, timers, mileage, all fall under there. And that total amount for co-curricular is $142,564, which is up slightly from last year. Under pupil transportation, that is all of the salaries that go to those people within the bus garage. It has to deal with all of our buses, the purchases, the radios, the repeater, that we are also switching our service. We did get a better deal next year, and we are hoping to get all new radios. We're very much out of date, and we're not going to be in compliance much longer with the FCC. So under pupil transportation, $802,754. The bus garage building is exactly what that is. It's the building and everything that we need for the upkeep of it. The heat, the oil, the electricity, telephones, general repair and cleaning and supplies for the bus garage. Community service is, I had mentioned, for the summer rec program to bring that back. And the last there is program benefits that deals with all the state retirements, the Social Security, workman's comp, unemployment, and health insurances. The total budget amount is $8,829,383. Do you have any questions on that section?
I do, Sue. We have an increase on the lifeguards by $500, but we're only going to open the pool once a month. We had less than that years before. Why can't we have the pool open at least twice a week? Because that's what the community really wants to use.
What we had said is we'll open it once a month to see how it goes. If it goes well and people attend, we'll do it more. But we set an initial of once a month.
Because years before, I used to send in a sign-in sheet. We had up to 50 people on Sundays and 25
And that's what we're
on Wednesdays.
hoping, but the proposal was to start it once a month. Again, if it catches on and we do have people, it will be more than once a month.
So what happens to that excess money by opening it just once a month?
Where does it go, you mean?
Yes.
Back into general fund. Just like anything that's not used within here, eventually goes back into general fund at the end.
Is there any way that we can look into opening in the pool at least twice a week and try it out? And then if you don't see a virtual in your community using it, then shut it down? Because I know a lot of people would really like to use the pool.
I think what would happen honestly then is if people came the first time and expressed that, or if people want to let us know that, but we were trying to get back into it in a positive way. And basically what we had talked about was doing, if people were coming, we could open it more. So
it just seems like a
it
lot
depends on
because
the
the pool's up
population.
and running and we're paying for it to run. You know,
Right.
we're already paying for it, but we're not allowed to use it only once a month. That's what I'm just questioning because
it'll
I
be
know
based
we
on
really would like
attendance.
to use it.
Right.
Will that be advertised? How will we know like when that actually
What
starts?
we'll end up doing is pick the dates in advance so they work around holidays, other things that we know of, and they'll be on the calendar, the school calendar for the year.
In the newsletter?
Yep.
Okay.
So that's when it goes out in the fall, they'll be on there. Other questions regarding that?
Well, it's not regarding the pool, but it's under
No,
program.
under that, yes.
There's some large increases. For instance, the copier service. That's up $10,000+ plus. So is the phone service. That's up about $10,000. Where is this money? Why is there such an increase in this? And lunches is up 43,000, excuse me.
Okay, the phone service is based on actual usage. This year was too low.
So we used it more than what we
Yes.
actually had budgeted.
Yes.
Like-
Where's your copier? What page are you on?
The copier services is up like 10,583.
Which page are you on that?
Well,
It's on page 5.
Thank you.
thank you.
And that's probably the same thing, because I go back and look at the actual.
We were budgeted too low in the past. And the school lunches we were budgeted way too low for that too, by almost 50,000.
We actually
Under
had
the
three.
transfer to cafeteria, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
We lowered that.
We lowered that.
50,000. So
It's
It's down to,
79.5.
oh,
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Other questions?
Hoping that's enough.
I hope so.
Okay.
You mentioned, I believe it was under special schools, but I'm not sure, that there were some things added back into the budget from last year. Could you verify or tell us what those were?
The driver's ed, is that what you're referring to?
No, I don't know, you just said
Yes.
things were added back into the
Driver's ed
budget.
is one of those things, either through a vehicle or through the van, which is in a later proposition. The pool being opened back up during the time.
Was that the once a month time that you're referring to?
Yes,
Okay. Was there anything else that was
that's what I
added
was just
back?
looking
Community.
for. The community recreation program,
That's
bringing it
summer-
back for summer rec.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Did you have,
Ms. Kelly, these are proposed numbers, right?
correct.
They're proposed from 11, 12, now 12, 13. Do we have actual numbers to compare, like a third column of, 10, 11?
These are 10, 11.
No.
No, you said
12.
11, 12, 12, 13.
I'm sorry, you mean to
These
go back the other
both-
year?
And both these are proposed, but we have actual from 10, 11. How come we don't have that comparison next to it? That's the biggest question I've heard from any of the public is we can't see actual next to the proposed for the following year.
That's something we can do next year. It's nothing that we've done before.
Is that possible?
Oh, yeah. And it is something we can put out. I mean, we have those numbers. If you want to, I mean, I can't do it tonight,
Right,
obviously.
obviously not
But if
tonight.
people want to wait, I mean, in the next day or two, we can get it out and on the website.
Would you agree that that would be a truer version of what we're looking at? If you put the actual
And
as
everybody,
opposed to proposed?
In some cases, but in some cases it's not.
So the actual would be a more real,
Well, for example, like your heating bill, if you had a real cold winter in 10, 11.
I think we understand that
Well,
when it comes
yeah,
to
but-
So, I
fuel.
mean, some cases,
well,
yes.
that's common sense.
Everybody's
Yeah,
gotta be
I'm
open-minded.
talking
Yeah.
actual expenses, right? Would it give us a clearer view or no? I don't know because I.
It would give you more information. I
It would
mean,
give you more
Okay,
info.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
I just have a couple of questions on increases too. Looks like the Dean of Students is going up almost $5,000. Is that to try to, because it looks like the principals went down, so are we?
Right, it wasn't allocated correctly.
Okay, so that's just kind of compensating for, okay,
Balancing it.
okay.
Okay.
The special ed teacher's assistant salary, that looked like it jumped like $43,951. Did we hire someone or a couple of people? Or?
We have had a few that, I mean, since last year that were
Yeah.
brought in, but no, we do not have any more projected on for next year. But again, you have to look at benefits and those things that did increase.
So that's why it increased to 43 is because of what we hired last year, though,
Right.
correct? Okay. And the other one is tuition. It looks like we've always in the past have done 0, and this year we're doing 18,000.
No, well, and I know tuition's in this year's budget.
Yeah.
That's in case we have to, if we have a child placed in foster care and is placed in another school district, we have to pay that tuition.
Okay.
So you have it there just in case, because with special ed students, we have to pay those bills.
We've
So-
never had to do that in the past, though.
Well, one of the things that we've fallen into more lately is homeless students. And any student within a 50-mile radius, if they choose to go back to their home school, we have to pay for them to, and transport them back to their home school. Or vice versa, they can choose for us to go within a 50-mile radius to go and get them.
Okay. Yeah. The non-instructional transportation salaries, that looks like that went up 70,000 too. Is there,
Well, we added a couple bus runs. And we'll get adjusted.
Throughout the year, we've added a few more bus runs, some of
Okay.
them because of homeless students adding on more runs, going to different directions. So that did go up.
and the driver's training went up like $3,000. Do we have more training for our drivers now, or are we having to send them somewhere?
It might be more that the person that we have, we're paying for his training to keep it updated.
Okay,
And I know that we do pay for his training.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
The third component is capital. These are expenses related to the operation and maintenance of the buildings and facilities. They include utilities, electricity, the fuel, chips, water, sewer, phone, uniform, and the pool. It also includes the corresponding benefits for the people that are charged, the salaries that are charged there. It includes the debt service for the bonds, and that would be on the capital projects and the buses, the finance buses, and also transfers to other funds. Okay, central service operations, this includes salaries for the custodians, equipment. We did put in a small amount, $2,500, in case we have to buy some tools and things like that for the custodians. And I think someone also brought up an increase of $10,000 to the telephone, and that was based on actual usage this year. Last year's budget was a little low. We did reduce our electricity budget by $50,000, and that again was based on actual usage in the projection. We belong to School Municipal Electrical Cooperative, and they give us a projection for the electricity cost, and they're projecting a reduced amount for next year, so we did reduce that by $50,000. That's why you see the decrease in that line item, that budget. The next budget is central service maintenance. And again, this is for salaries, equipment, and contractual maintenance, and BOCE services. And in this area, we did budget $20,000 for a lawnmower. I think that's what you call it. It's a big lawnmower. It's not one that I would ride, tractor. So that was the big addition there. Otherwise, we would have had a decrease in that area. Again, your benefits are going up again because we had the increase in the health insurance and retirement costs. Okay, debt service. You'll see a big difference between these two lines, and again, it's the way I classify things compared to the way Rocky does. Again, it's not right or wrong, it's just I classify things differently. And again, the debt service are payments on the capital project, the building project, and the bus that we're financing. Interfund transfers, and now it's a transfer to cafeteria of $50,000. It was reduced from what we had been projecting. The board felt it could be reduced, so it is an increase of $10,000. It had been $40,000 in this year's budget. We have increased it to $50,000. And a transfer to federal funds of $6,000. We're required to do 20% of the summer special ed program. The general fund has to pick up 20% of that cost. So that totals is $56,000. So our projected for 12-13 is $2,345,216 for the capital portion of the budget. Oh, any questions?
Yes, could you explain what the 20,000 contractual for the pool is? Where that goes and what that does?
That would be.
Is there an issue with the pool?
Maintenance or repairs?
20,000?
I haven't seen your pool, so I don't really know. But you have to put it in there just in case. No, I mean.
That seems like a large increase for something that we haven't had any issues with, and we just had a new system put in there 2-3 years ago. I was just wondering where the 20,000 was going and what it was going to be used for.
Well, it's an estimate in case there are repairs that need to be done.
That's a very large estimate.
Is that for the pool, or is that the money that you guys had decided on the 2nd of April to stash away in case the ban was voted down so you could purchase the driver's ed vehicle?
No,
No?
I don't, no. A van is a piece of, let me straighten that out. A van is a piece of equipment, If we don't have equipment in the budget, we can't buy equipment. You cannot transfer out of, say, a contractual item into an equipment line item, so that we couldn't even do. If that was even talked about, and I don't know that that was talked about.
It was. You guys, on the 2nd of April, actually, it's on tape. I believe it was Mr. Brewer that asked, because they were talking about the van being put on the ballot, and if it got voted down, did we put money in the budget so that we could
Maybe
purchase
to
it?
lease.
To lease a
To
car,
lease a
not
car.
to buy a van, but to have a driver's ed car, we
We
pay
could lease a
about
car, which I think is what they've done
$6,500.
in the past. Is to lease a car is a contractual line item, but we could not purchase.
So that could be transferred over for that if it's if needed, correct?
But that's not, that $20,000 is not for that.
Well, I know it's not for that, but can that be moved over if it's not used for anything contractual?
Yes, it could be.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions?
I just had a question. I was looking at the principal bonds and the interest. Like the principal bond was like 690,000 plus, and then the interest was like 307 plus. Is there a reason? I mean, that looks like a huge increase from one year to the next.
Okay,
It's on page 12,
okay, because
For buses,
where it says serial bond principal went from
it's going from
39.4.
39.4 to 730.
Yeah.
Because originally he had the 39.47 and the 7,500 is only the bus bonds. He had the capital project listed under transfer to debt service, school construction,
Okay.
where my 730 and 315 is the school bonds, the building project, and I've got the bus listed separately as 110 and 30.
Okay, is that for the buses that we're proposing, or for buses we've purchased in the past?
Buses that you purchased and the ones you're proposing,
Okay.
because you'd have a payment debt due next June, if it's passed. If it's not passed, then that expense would go, part of that expense would go away. We'd still be liable for the buses that you already purchased.
Okay, so you're saying the 730 is for, did you say a building project?
The capital project. And
Thank
I
you.
believe you've got 3 bonds outstanding. Okay, this is what we're estimating for 12-13 revenue. State aid estimate is $9,841,166. And if you've come to any of the meetings, this is an estimate. The governor proposes, the legislature proposes. Some of the state aid revenue are based on their information. If we don't spend the money, we don't get it, like transportation and BOCES aid. So if you go to their website, this number will not match their numbers because I'm conservative, so I have lowered the number. Other revenues are $45,800. This is interest, it's Medicare, Part D reimbursement, and a couple of other items. Fund balance appropriated is $727,863. This is the same amount as last year. Reserves appropriated, this is $30,000. That offsets the $30,000 that we've got in the budget for unemployment because we're taking it out of our reserves. There's no effect to the taxpayer. And the tax levy estimated is $1.7 million. This is the same tax levy as last year, so there is no increase to the taxpayer. So the total is $12,391,242. Our budget is balanced. Any questions?
With that amount taken from the fund balance to 727,863, what does that leave us in our fund balance?
Last June, your total fund balance, through several different sections, was $4.2 million. I'm estimating it to be about the same. Right now, you're breaking even. And again, I think I explained at one of the meetings. Fund balance is locked in stone after the auditors come. So I keep projecting, I keep revising it after every
So
month.
even after taking this out, we're still at the same number that we were last June? Can you tell me, I know that for the budget last year, the fund balance was estimated, I believe, I don't know if it's proposed, estimated, whatever you want to call it, was around 800,000, is that right?
Yes?
Yes.
How much was actually used in fund balance? Do you know?
I don't think any of your fund balance has been used.
So that $800,000, which is similar to the $727,000 you're projecting this year, wasn't used last year.
Correct.
Where did we gain that $800,000 last year? How did we gain that? What we were supposed to take out of the fund balance and didn't?
If your revenue equals your expenses, you're at a standstill, so your fund balance doesn't get touched.
So there was an $800,000 padding someplace basically, right? In the budget, we overestimated, over padded the budget, right? I just want to understand.
I can't tell you that. I mean,
But somehow that $800,000 wasn't used.
when you build a budget, it's a process. You build it with the information that you have. Sometimes things come the way you think they're going to come.
I understand it, and I know that there's.
And you
that
do have to build some things
overestimate.
for the what-ifs,
I
and
understand
sometimes
that.
those things don't come true.
I understand that.
Some things come in your favor, sometimes they don't.
But in the case of last year, we didn't use a cent out of our fund balance.
Which means we came up with 800.
Let me go back and double check that, okay?
I know it's true, so. And I think we've
Well,
said
now,
it before, so.
Let me go back and double check,
Okay.
because actually the financials may say you did have operating deficit, now that I'm thinking about it.
So
So
that
you may
means-
have used a little bit of it.
I think it was 5,000. That's a big difference from my book.
Any other questions?
I got a little question. I think this is where this goes under in-depth service. I'm sorry. There was a bus that was wrecked last year, right, total? That we wanted to
This year.
replace. Did we replace that yet? Would that be on this debt service? Did we purchase a new bus for that?
It's on order.
It's been ordered?
Yes.
Is that one of the 3 buses that we're gonna talk about now?
No.
Or they're
Nope.
That's
totally
additional.
3
Totally
separate?
separate.
Thank you.
Now, in that bus that was totaled, we got insurance proceeds and we had to take that money out of fund balance to pay for it.
So the fund balance was
Because
just...
we're on a contingent budget, we couldn't ask the taxpayers to pay for it, so we had to take it out. We had to go to the commissioner and get a special ruling to buy it. It's ordered.
That was nice. I mean, I was just curious. I thought that you guys were talking
Well, I think
about
there was something in the
replacing
paper,
the
but it was misquoted.
bus. Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
Question, where does the BOCES shared service refund stuff show up in the budget?
That would be part, no, BOCES refunds would be other revenue, and that varies from year to year. Yeah. BOCES aid would be part of your state aid, but BOCES refund would be other revenue. Any other questions?
Okay, the last slide we have then are the propositions that are currently going to be on the ballot. The first one, we are requesting 3 buses to be purchased, all 65 passenger. Currently, we have 1 bus that was red tagged by the DOT, which means it couldn't be driven further. A week after, within that same timeline, another bus was in a similar situation. We pulled it ourselves rather than have the DOT. The reason we pulled it was when the DOT pulls your bus, basically you get a ding or a mark against your score at the end of the year. So rather than getting the score against our school, we pulled it ourselves knowing that it would not be able to pass inspection coming up. So currently we have 2 buses that are in a situation that because of their physical shape and rust, they cannot be driven. That leaves us, at this point, we have another spare bus which is currently being used to drive for BOCES. What we would like to do is to have 3 buses. Those buses are 90% aidable through the state for school purposes, which is to and from school with students and some educational trips. You do not get any aid on like marching band, on extracurricular trips, on sports, runs, or any of those things with the buses. It's just the educational aspect of it. So we are looking and asking to replace 3 of the buses, which would then be put into our regular lineup, and leaving us with a current spare that we are using this year to put it into the spare for the following year. The second proposition is for a van for a multiple purpose. It would, first of all, it would be 90% aidable only for the time when we bring students to and from school or go on special field trips. At this point, this year, we are busing students out of the county for some specialized schooling. We also do some homeless students busing. So we would use that on a regular basis in the morning and afternoon run, and during vacations and or holidays or summer, we would like to be able to use the 7-passenger for driver's education. It can be used for that, however, it is not aidable using it for driver's education. So those are the two propositions that we have at this point, the 3 school buses and a van. Questions on either of those 2 proposals? Matt? Oh, sorry.
Sorry. If my list is correct, we had 3 spare buses, right? Like 81, 86, and 87, 2 of which have been pulled off.
Correct.
So we have basically 1 spare bus now.
Correct.
And are you going to replace 3 existing buses in the lineup with these new buses, and then those existing ones become spares?
What will happen is we'll trade the 3 buses we have in there, and I have the, let me just grab this.
The 3 buses that are currently spares you're going to trade?
Yes. They will not get much money, or
Right.
we won't get much from them, but we do have a proposal from Leonard Busing. What we would like to do is put the new ones obviously on the regular runs for students every day.
Sure.
Use one of the ones with the higher mileage for the BOCES run still, and continue to do that.
So you're
So that
basically,
is our hope.
all 3 of these, even though only 2 are taken off, you're going to take off 87 also?
Yes,
Okay.
as a regular run bus,
So we'll still only have 3 spares?
correct. 2. If we're losing.
You're losing 2, you're keeping 1, you're buying 3.
Hold on a second, because I'm trying to think. We're going to trade 3 of them.
Okay, so you're
So we're
81
trading
and
3 different buses.
86.
81, 82, and 86 will all be traded.
Oh, okay.
So 3 of
We're
them will
keeping
be traded.
87, but we're still trading in 3 buses?
Correct.
Okay.
And those are the 3.
So our net bus amount's the same?
It will be the same in the end, yes.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Are you
Questions?
trading the 2 red flag buses in?
Yes,
Okay. So we're gaining 2 extra buses.
correct.
Have we implemented a replacement plan from the future now, from now on?
I don't know if you were, I think you were here the evening,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he was here. And that was what we're working on for the last couple of years, to either buy 1 or 2 buses each year. With last year, obviously, we didn't get to do that. We are trying to get back into that rhythm. It's very hard. The roads, the ice, the salt, and snow are terrible on our buses, bottom line.
We just don't want another 2007 where you're buying 7 buses.
That was, yep.
I mean, it's just something we got.
It was done for the reason that there was monies at the time. There was a deal on the buses, and they felt it was a good idea.
Right,
It's
that's
not a
right.
good idea when they come to be repaired, fixed, or,
Get
you know,
old.
5 years from now, when you have to trade them all at once.
Understand.
And that's, you know, that is not the intent. It really is to work on a 1 or 2 every year basis.
So if we start now, we should be able to catch up and not have to do 7 more.
Correct.
5 years from now, 3 years from now.
That's the hope.
Aid for homeless, the homeless keeps coming up in transportation. I don't know if, I'm out of line asking the question, but how many homeless students do we have in the school currently?
It varies. Currently, I know that we have 2 that come here every day from out of districts. And right now, I'm just trying to think.
And we're required to bus them?
We have to either bus or set up transportation with another department that's willing to work with us.
Okay.
So we do that. We also are running students other places that aren't ours necessarily, but if we pick them up on our route and then drop them off somewhere. But it's truly something that's really increased in the last couple of years. 5 years ago, you wouldn't have heard of the homeless busing. I mean, it just, in the North Country, it's really become rampant. I think some of it, the regulations have changed more to the advantage of students, because you don't want students going to 3-4 school districts a year.
So they're coming from another district into our district?
Yes, they originated here at some point. Their family moved. The family then, as long as it's in a 50-mile radius, if they're not able to have their own home, if they're evicted, if they're living double with a family, member, they are given the option to return back to their home school, so it does not interrupt their education.
Well, wouldn't that district have to pay for their transportation here? I mean, that's kind of what we discussed with the
students.
tuition.
What we have is we have other students who may, and we have, for example, a student that lives in our district but came from another school, and we're taking them back to their school. It is truly up to the family of which district they choose to go to.
So we have two that come from another district, and then one
Currently.
that we're taking out?
Throughout the year, we've had about 6 or 7 different homeless situations. It does change pretty frequently, but we've had 2 all year brought here from another district. And we currently, I don't know if anybody drives by, and you'll see Clifton Fine sitting here every morning. The kids are brought down to our school and then driven up to Clifton Fine. It's another family.
I just need a clarification, if I could, about the buses. Are we gaining 2 buses?
No,
You said
we're
the two-
breaking even, but
So
we'll
we have
have,
1 spare at this time, right?
that's currently in,
And after the trade, the 3 buses will still only have 1 spare?
correct.
We'll still only have 1 spare. But yet 2 of the red flag ones are 2 that you said were being traded in?
They will be traded, all 3 will be traded in, I said.
Right. I don't understand how we're not back to 3 spares.
When we have 2
Because we have
spares,
3 spares with 2 of them red flag. We trade them in, we're back to 3 spares, correct?
No, because some will be moved into the lineup, and then a bus from the lineup will be put to the spare.
But
you're still
in the
having
long
those.
It's
run,
still the same number of
we're
buses.
going to have 3 spares, right?
Regardless if they're the new buses or?
Whether you
one
move
They'll
it
be
in or
moved.
move them out.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
So we will have 3 spares.
2 spares. I have to, I think it's 2 spares.
I think it's 3. Well, if we have 3, 2 are red flags, you're going to trade 3 in, we're going to end up with 3. But I think,
Unless,
I'm pretty good at math. It only takes 2 so.
but there's no net change in the number of
There's,
buses.
well, right, but we're going to gain 2 spares.
Right,
Right.
because 2 are out of
And
commission
that's a good
now.
thing, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
On the van, like you're gonna use it for running, you said like field trips, students.
Not a lot of field trips, unless there's only 1 or 2 students obviously going. Most field trips are a bigger group.
But if you're-
The main part will be transporting students out of district. Currently, we drive to Rome 2 days a week. So that was one of the thoughts for that particular student.
When will the driver's ed get to use it though, if it's got all them other purposes?
Driver's ed doesn't drive during the school day. Driver's ed will continue like the weekends or the holidays or the summer, whenever we run it.
Gotcha.
Any other questions? Okay,
Yeah, I do, sorry.
that's okay.
When you spoke about a bus being dinged by DOT, all right, if we get a certain amount of dings, does that penalize the school as far as insurance purposes or in any other aspect?
I do believe that report goes to the insurance company, and that's if it costs us more money.
Well, that's why I'm asking, because we really don't, if that's the case, we don't want to get dinged because that's going
Right.
to jump our insurance rates, correct?
Which is why we pulled the bus ourselves.
Right, that's what I was assuming.
Yes.
Now, because I like math too, so to kind of help Connie out here, maybe I'm not doing this right, but if we, just for an example, if we have 20 buses total, okay, right now, and we got 2 red flag, all right? You're trading 3 buses in for 3 new ones. So we're still gonna have 20 buses, but we will have 2 good buses,
Right, we're gaining 2 buses, because 2
Or
of them are red flagged and unusable.
2 buses that we can use for sub buses. Right?
Right, we're,
Right,
we're
okay.
3 spares. That's what I think.
It's still the same.
Instead of calling them sub, you're calling them spare buses.
Well, I thought
You
that
have
were-
2
that's-
spare buses that we can actually utilize instead of being red flag.
Right, right.
Yeah.
That's what I understand.
Jack, could you raise your?
With bus 81 being used on BOCES,
Correct.
you're not considering that as one of the spares?
It's a BOCES, it's got a regular run.
Right.
Right, so you're not considering 81 as a spare bus, then?
No.
Even though it's not on, it's on the,
It
because
is
it's
on
on
a
the
run.
BOCES, right, okay.
It's an aided run.
Right, right. So we got the 87, 82, and 86.
82 and 86 are being traded.
Right, and 81, so.
Yes. Just a few other things. I know that Terry said this to go over our candidates. We have one seat that's a 2-year unexpired. We currently have 3 names. For anyone who doesn't know, they're not put in alphabetically. They are actually drawn out of a hat to decide the order. So we have Mary Jo Rolfus, Robert Tresetter, and Reginald Lapointe running for the 2-year seat. We have a 5-year expired seat. Matthew F. Van Brocklen and Rick Brewer will be running for those 2 seats. Something that's different this year that anyone coming in to vote needs to know. What we did is we had obviously a lot more voters last year than expected or anticipated, which kind of made it very difficult for some of the people doing the voting. We met with the Board of Elections, had the woman come in, and she gave us some ideas. So our ballot this year, first of all, it's a 2-sided ballot. Can you just flip to the next screen for 1 second? And then flip back. What it has on it, it's 1 sheet of paper. Again, flip back, Carol. Thanks. The first thing is the budget proposition itself, and it's really important to point out, you either have to X or check. If you color it in, if you circle it, it becomes invalid. So you have to do as they said. So the first section is the budget proposition. The second is the bus proposition. The third is the van. Again, same thing. You have to either check or X. If you go to the back of it,
And if you color in one, it validates the whole vote, right? Not just if you color in the budget proposition and you do the other 2 correctly, it still avoids the whole vote, or just the one, just that.
That's my interpretation. No.
no, wait.
Sorry. That my interpretation is the say on that, and I will instruct the election inspectors, but they will decide what is a valid vote. People often mark an X or a check outside the box. The boxes aren't huge. It's people who, what is going to invalidate your vote is many people will write things on it. I wouldn't vote for this if you don't need any buses. You'd be surprised the things that are written on it. You void your ballot every time you do that. You put an X or a check close to the box, in the box, it extends by the box, it's going to be counted. You make any other marks on your ballot, that portion of your ballot is not going to be counted. You're not
Just
going
that-
to
just
invalidate
that
your
portion,
entire
okay.
ballot. You're going to invalidate the part that you decide to make your
That
expressions
would
known
give us the
on.
whole thing. Okay.
Right. In the past, because for example, this would have been on 3 separate sheets in the past. So just say that you decided just to write something in here, you didn't check yes or no. That part is just taken out and not counted in the vote. It's marked as a scatter, correct?
Scattering is on the next slide where you vote for board candidates. You're going to see on the recommendation of the Board of Elections lady, you're going to see a new category. Usually we have the names of the people, how many votes they received, voids, blanks. We often have a lot of voids. That's because people vote for Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Donald Trump, you name it. And now you will see a category called scatterings. And all those people who do that, they'll be in that scatterings number. Again, that's a place where people often void their ballot. They write down, anybody would be better than, and they put a name in. I don't think anybody deserves it. You're just wasting your ballot, and that's totally up to you.
Question?
I had a question. Will there be any place at the voting center that will inform voters of the change of policy and how they're supposed to mark their ballot?
That's not different, correct? With the
That's
check
been
and
on-
the X.
Those instructions have been on every ballot that you've ever voted on here. They're still on this one. There will be a huge sign in every voting booth that says this is now a 2-sided ballot. The election inspectors will be telling you as they hand you your page that it's a 2-sided ballot.
That makes it invalid.
Invalid.
And it does say, if you could flip back, it does, again, it says X or check. Then on the second part, or the back of this ballot, are for the two candidates for the expired and the unexpired seat. And it obviously just gives the qualifications of what a voter is, what they have to do as far as being able to meet the criteria. Any questions? That ends our budget presentation hearing for this evening. I thank everyone for coming. I will work on that one thing and put it up on the website when it's finished in the next couple of days. Thank you.